Hi, Robbie. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, thanks. How are you? Hello.
I'm good. I'm actually excited that you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You came to my lovely, humble home.
Oh, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, I know. We've been friends for a couple of months now, and
It's been a while.
it's been a while, and I've not
This
been here
year.
yet, so I feel really bad about that. But yeah, thanks
Good,
for
but
having
you're
me.
here. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
So, tell us about yourself. Where you're from? What's your background?
Sure.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So I'm Robbie Platt. I'm from the States originally. I've been living here in London in the UK since 2004. I was born in Long Island, New York. I'm one of 10 children in my family.
10
so I've got
children in your family.
10 children. I've got 7 brothers and 2 sisters. And we moved from New York, Long Island, just outside the city, outside of Queens, to North Carolina when I was about 13 years old, 1986. A little town called Asheville, which is in the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And I was there until about the age of 19, and then kind of went to University of North Carolina in Asheville, sort of my first year at uni, and then I came to England shortly
Did you
after
go
that.
to Asheville recently?
I was in Asheville about 10 days ago, yeah.
10 days
with my
ago?
family, yeah.
So it was your
exactly.
brother's wedding, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah. One of my little
So
brothers
jealous.
got married. Second time he got married, actually,
Yeah.
which I'm so jealous about because I haven't been married yet. Once, and I'm 40. But yeah, second marriage for him. It was in Charleston, South Carolina. Beautiful part of the country again. Yeah, it was very nice, very nice.
So how was
Too
your
much.
how's your upbringing as a gay man? Was it easy for you?
Absolutely not. It was the sheer opposite. So my family, the reason we have 10 children is because we're, it's quite a conservative family. My parents are like evangelical Christians, basically, born again Christians, if you like. And my dad converted to Catholicism, like I think in sort of the late 90s when I was still living at home. And many of my brothers sort of followed in his footsteps. I've got 2 sisters and my mother who are not Catholic, but I think pretty much the rest of my family is.
Yeah.
Actually, my brother Timmy might not be Catholic, but like most of them are.
So that means if you're Catholic, therefore you must be conservative and you must not be, not for gay rights, but you must be way more stricter.
No,
in order to
not
support
necessarily. I mean, there's different like factions of the Catholic faith, and I think where they're actually part of this. I forgot what the name of the sect is, but they're sort of a stricter sect, a more traditional sect, where they actually give the what's it called? Not the sermons, but the I guess they are called sermons. I'm not
masses.
sure.
The masses.
The masses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I couldn't remember. In Latin, so it's very, very traditional. Like they follow some of the original sort of rules that were in place when the Catholic Church first came into existence, and they continue to. I think the priest actually delivers the sermons with his back to the congregation, and the reason they do that is because they're sort of facing God, I think, and they're kind of leading the pack or something like that. But it's just all kinds of little weird nuances.
Did you used to go all the time to those
I
masses?
didn't go to that particular one. I went to a normal Catholic. I say normal. Sorry, I probably shouldn't.
A different.
Use that phrase, but I went to the more modern version of the Catholic Church, the more
the most known.
Yeah, the most known, exactly.
And you moved to the UK when you were 19. Was it?
I moved to the UK in 2004. I can't remember exactly. I think I must have been 19 or 20.
19,
I think I might
20,
have been 20 actually when I first came here. And so the reason I did, I mean, this is very personal, but I had a bit of a, I guess I came out. I knew that I was gay from sort of when I was a teenager, late teenager, and I knew that when I was in high school, I did feel like I was bullied quite a bit in North Carolina. I didn't feel like I could really be myself. So I knew that when I went to university that, there would be more of an opportunity for me to come out and be open and be myself.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that. I mean, why were you bullied? Because did they know that you were gay or did they bully for other reasons?
Maybe it was my perception. Maybe I wasn't actually bullied. I don't know. But I just feel as though I didn't really, sort of fit in that well in high school.
That's usually the case.
Self-aware of sort of myself being gay.
Yeah.
And, many of my friends sort of picked up on it and kind of like talked to me about it. And I always denied it. I was just adamant about like just not associating with it. I viewed it as, as was at the time more common, as being sort of a weaker version of myself, like a sort of, almost an issue. And
I think we all go through
church.
that.
Yeah,
we also go through that through our teenage years. Yeah. So did you date girls?
I did. I did. I
Many?
totally did. Oh my God, I think I dated 3. I want to say 3.
Okay.
And it's, oh my God, I have a funny story. So
That's 3 more than I have.
3 more than you have, huh?
Yeah.
One of the girls I dated, it was so funny. Our first date was to go to the movies, and we went to go see the movie Chicago, which had just come out, that musical. And we both loved it. I think I loved it a little bit more than she did. And our whole relationship, we left the cinema singing all the songs. We went out immediately and like bought the CD. At the time you had CDs in your car. And we used to play that like all the time. We would drive around, whatever.
You had it coming.
You had it coming. Anyway, so...
It's my favorite musical, by the way.
Oh, it's
great.
Amazing. It's great. Am I allowed to curse on here?
You can say fuck.
Okay, good.
You can say
it
balls.
was fucking amazing. But the whole relationship was basically based on the musical, and I have no idea how she just didn't figure it out. I mean, we never were intimate. We never had sex, So
okay,
it was just like that.
Yeah, but you were young anyway, so you were experimenting.
And I met her through the church. Actually, all my girlfriends, I think I met through the church. So
are you still friends with them?
I am. I keep in touch with all of them, of course.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
In fact, when we broke up, we became best friends. So that was just like I think we were meant to be friends the whole time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So you moved to the UK. Okay, let's go through that. So you moved to the UK. And when was the first time you dated a boy?
The first time I dated a boy, that was actually when I went to university up North Carolina at Asheville, and partly what led me here to the UK. So I was dating this guy. I don't want to say his name. I almost said his name. Whoops! I don't want to. Can't believe I remember his name. Actually, that was many men ago. So yeah, I was dating this guy. And he was straight. He was in the closet, and I think he'd like messed around with a couple of guys when he was younger. Yeah. And just took a liking to me. So we started. He actually made the pass on me. I didn't realize that he was even gay, to be, or was curious or anything like that. I probably got a little bit of an inkling, but like we got drunk one night and fooled around, that kind of thing at university. And it just kind of took off from there. And we had like maybe 3 or 4 months of just like. Absolutely. I mean, it was my first guy that I was really properly dating, and I was just head over heels with him. I thought it was love. It was just just complete like bliss, for that time. Anyway, it kind of fell apart because at the time we didn't have like text messages or mobile phones. It was kind of before that. And
did you write letters?
What was it? Emails. It was emails.
Oh, emails. Yeah.
So what happened was my grandfather actually passed away. So we were called away. We went up to New York. Where my grandfather lived at the time, went to the funeral, and he sent me a couple of emails. But whilst we were away, his parents actually they had access to his email somehow. I don't know if he was using their email or whatever it was, but they read the emails, and they were equally conservative Christians. I mean, this is this deep South we're talking about, North Carolina. And so they actually drove out to my parents' house and like just told them the whole situation. Which led to... So they outed you? Because I was going to ask you about that. They outed me. They outed me to my parents.
I have a question about that in a minute.
Okay.
No, carry on.
Okay.
How was it?
So I had a bit of a fallout with the family. I stopped talking to a number of people in my family immediately following that, when it all sort of transpired what happened. And basically I was still with my ex at the time, but then I woke up one morning and he was gone. All his stuff was gone. And it just broke my heart. I just went into this sort of tailspin of depression and, sadness. It was just a complete antithesis of what I had just experienced, like that bliss of like 3-4 months. And then
all of a sudden it was gone.
Suddenly, like everything was taken away from me.
Why? Where did you go?
So I ended up actually going up to New York.
No, him. Where did you
him.
Go?
Yeah.
When he left you.
He went home. I think his parents came and picked him up, and he just left. He packed his stuff without me knowing, and just disappeared. And that was it. Woke up and he was gone. Yeah. So everything was taken from me like really, really quickly. It was quite traumatic. Actually.
Yeah, there's that sense of rejection, and it starts earlier, and then that stays with you. That can linger with you even without your knowledge.
Yeah, it can. It definitely can. And I think that's probably something a lot of gay men can sort of relate to.
Definitely.
Rejection and just feeling kind of isolated. That kind of thing. So
speaking of that, because you said you were outed, and so was I, and this is what I was going to talk to you about.
You were outed as well. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because I was dating someone I was dating my first boyfriend, the one whose relationship lasted for over 10 years. Yeah. So I was dating him in the beginning, and there was this jealous guy who outed me to my parents.
Wow.
And when
that is so low. That is the worst thing in the world.
It is. He was
so angry.
So-called friend. But I was going to ask you, Did you feel a sense of relief when you were outed? Because
Yeah.
I can speak for myself, and just for one side note,
I
I was relieved because I was very scared of, because my father used to make jokes all the time about gays.
Yeah.
And then when I was outed, my father was not my number one fan, but he was very supportive of me.
Okay.
But it was kind of relief.
I
And my
know,
so-called
I know
friend
what
did
you
that.
mean, and that's actually a really good point that I haven't really thought about. But I suppose I had very carefully orchestrated, sort of how I was going to live my life. I was going to go to university, and I would come out at university, and that was because that was a safe place. I was allowed to be there, was in a community that accepted me. And so I would probably have lived a double life for a very long time. I don't know if eventually I would have come out to my folks and my family and everything else, but I think it did force me to sort of, it accelerated that sort of whole plan of coming out. So I think there was a sense of relief in that, because then I wasn't able to sort of live that lie, which was all I knew my entire life. That's all I knew,
It's kind of a blessing, because, it happens at the worst circumstances, but then when you think about it, you think like, at least they know. At least I've got nothing to hide anymore. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So that all happened, and I decided at that point that, I thought maybe it was just best to just try and I think the best way to get over, someone or like a loss, a really big change in your life is just to kind of change the scenery, change the location or whatever. So
you moved.
I moved to New York initially with my brother up there, and sort of worked with him in the city. That was good. I was there for probably 6 months or so. And actually what I did was I worked 2 jobs, and I saved up enough money to basically fund a study abroad program for 6 months in the UK in a town called Chester, University of Chester, which is up north. Yeah. And so I went up there, and I was there for 6 months, and absolutely fell in love with the UK, the freedom I had here, the ability to travel, just all the different interesting people that I met, the history here. I just thought this was a chance at a brand new life. And I loved every aspect of it. I loved the country, the history, the beauty, the people, the culture, the architecture, the personalities, the just everything about it. It just felt like the right move for me.
Yeah.
And so I set up a life here very quickly. I actually met another guy. I did, another guy here. First Irish boyfriend. That's all.
First, how many have you had?
Oh my God!
How many Irish boyfriends have you had?
3.
Three
Irish.
Oh, you do have a type.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the accent or something else. But
I think it's something else.
Yeah, it might be something else. But they're pretty good. In terms of what you're laughing at.
So let's go through them, please.
Okay.
Because this episode is about toxic relationships, and I know you. That's why I'm glad you came on the show, because
I'm so glad I have the
I need
credentials
people like
for
you.
that.
I need to talk to people like you so I can educate myself as well. I was gonna let's just jump
Sorry, I'm just having
straight
a nice
to
little
it.
sip of your wine there. I think I need that.
Do you like my wine?
I love your wine. It's a nice
Portuguese wine.
Portuguese wine. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Do you know anything about it?
It's like 2 words: Dona Ermelinda. That's what you need to know. When you go to Portugal, you need to order that wine.
Okay.
They have it white, red, I think rosé. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. You know what I had when I was in Portugal? Actually, I went recently because I was trying.
You went to Porto.
I went through another breakup. Let's say about 6 months ago, and
the toxic one.
That was one of. I think all my relationships have been toxic, to be honest. To be fair, but this one was particularly ended badly. But I can talk more about that later. But when I went on a sort of solo trip, I had something called green wine, which I hadn't had before.
Vinho Verde. Vinho Verde.
Sí.
Yes. That's white, basically. It's kind of white.
Yeah,
I like both. I'm not fussy with wine anymore. I used to hate
You just
rosé.
drink anything as long as it's white, right?
Yeah, as long as it's
From Tesco.
As long as it feels good. From Sainsbury's or whatever.
Wow.
But I love that wine.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I'm just gonna ask you, straight up, what are the first signs of a toxic relationship from your experience?
First signs.
Knowing what you know now.
Well, okay. I think going backwards, I feel like there's signs at the very beginning that you need to look out for. I think someone who and this is really interesting, because I think there's probably an element of toxicity in all of us. I don't think anyone is toxic free. We all have trauma. We all have sort of situations that we go through that dent us. No one's perfect. So you've got to realize that every single person on earth has good and bad elements and qualities about them.
Including ourselves.
Yeah, including ourselves. So I feel like, in today's day and age, with just the ubiquity of having all of these like self-help and well-being, but also like having, any, run at the first sign of trouble. Like, I don't feel like that should be the immediate reaction. But I feel like
so glad you said that.
In today's day and age,
that's what everyone does.
Listen, with so much choice, that we have, with everyone being swipeable, I feel like people run at the first sign of danger, the first sign of trouble, and I don't feel like that's always the right reaction. I really don't. I feel like you're going. Relationships are tough. They're hard. They're not easy. They're never always easy. If you're planning to be with somebody for the next 50 to 60 years, you will go through burying, most of your friends and family in that period. You will go through moves and loss and trauma and all kinds of experiences. You will go through health crises. You will go through all kinds of situations. And it's really about sticking with that person through their lows, through their highs, and just being that one.
It sounds like you when you're with someone, you're in for the long haul. You're in for the long journey. You're in for the marriage, because you were just reciting marriage vows, and I was going to say that is it because let me just ask you this, because you've just mentioned what you need to stick with someone through and through. Mm-hmm. I think that's generational. Because I think the new generation doesn't do that. I know I'm overgeneralizing.
You are talking. Okay, you were talking against maybe around. I'm not good with evolution, but I would say upwards of like 2 million years of history. People are naturally what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say egregious, but I don't think that's the right word. They're naturally sort of flock towards. They need other people, and we partner up. That's a sort of a natural part of the way that we've evolved. Having that sort of
I think you're right.
Other person, right?
But I don't think that's what's happening. Do you know why? Because yes, naturally we gravitate towards one another, but I think society is splitting us up. Because now what you're seeing in the media is like you need to be independent. You need to be boss bitch, boss babe, boss this, boss that, and you cannot rely on other people. And I think that's really dangerous in our society nowadays.
I totally I see your point. Right. I completely agree with that. I would say that it's not all of us crave to have that sort of that feeling of love. At this point in your life, you might not necessarily need it, but it's a longer term investment. You're eventually going to lose your parents. You're eventually going to lose your family, and it's about having that other person. When you get old and you need someone to like look after you. Can you imagine? Like I used to volunteer, like back in the States, I used to volunteer in retirement homes, for example. And can you imagine being that person all alone and you pass away, nobody comes to your funeral?
It's huge in the UK, loneliness.
I'm not saying that you are going to be around to sort of grieve that. But can you imagine being at the end years of your life and just literally not even having a person to pick up the phone and talk to?
Not even a family relative.
You want to talk about something that's bothering you, and you actually have no one. Your friends will eventually have their own lives, have their own sort of situations, have their own families. It's just naturally what people do. So eventually, as you get older, you're going to find that your friendship groups continues to shrink and shrink and shrink, whether you're gay or straight or whatever. And that will just happen. And eventually, think about what the purpose of a relationship is. It's not about having necessarily like a husband or wife, for the sake of it. It's about having a best friend that you are committing to passing through this journey of life together with.
And if it's a partner, if it's a loving partner, I mean, that's just gravy, isn't it? That's just a bonus. And I agree. I completely agree with you. So you're very moral. You're very moral. You've got your.
I would say I am moral. Yeah.
You might have your life.
I suppose that all that church, years way back in the day.
Yeah, well, it's bringing it all.
Really paid off, I'm probably the most amoral person that there is on the planet. I'm very liberal.
You're saying all the right things. I'm
very liberal when it comes to things, but I think that there is a very moral basis for being liberal. So I feel like my whole point of being comes from very, I believe in equality. I believe people should all have, equal chance in life. Is everything okay? I heard crashing in the background. Is your
That's just me thinking.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. So I really feel like, my pushing the boundaries of society is really about fighting for what I believe to be morally right. And I feel like there are changes that need to happen still. I don't know.
Like what? What would you change now if you could? You just said it. People cannot be so live in the fear of missing out all the time. People need to be more. need to rely more on one another.
It's weird because
I
I would say there's elements of me that are very progressive, and there's also elements of me that are very traditional.
I love that you put that in traditional versus progressive. So if you're not pro-marriage, you're not progressive.
Well, traditional for me is preserving the past, right? It's preserving the past. It's protective of what was, and I feel like there's elements of me that is definitely, wants to do that. When it comes to sort of relationships and sort of the way you treat other people, I guess on a personal basis, making sure that people have, that commitment and things that I think that this generation is now sort of starting to forget, like
totally agree with
before, that. Society today is sort of pulling people apart. Technology is pulling people apart because it's making them more individualistic, which I don't agree with. I believe that we need to be together and look out for each other. So that's like my traditional bits. But I think being progressive is where I think there have been gaps in addressing that in the past, because society hasn't always been equal towards LGBTQ plus people, towards people of different color and backgrounds and different, sort of whatever it might be. So there have been gaps in that. And I feel like that is the number one principle driving a lot of my personal beliefs in my life.
And there you have it.
So there you go, Shaniqua.
And there you have it. So I'm going to edit this out.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So yes, I obviously I agree with everything
By the way,
that
this
you
wine
just
is
said.
delicious. It's going down really, really well.
It's Portuguese wine. I mean, enough said.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the first signs, the signs that you would now avoid with your actual boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay, if you had a boyfriend now, what would... I know it's a bit like of a contradictory thing to say, but what would make you run for the hills?
Whew. Okay, we go.
This is beyond pet
We're getting
peeves.
deep now. Okay.
I haven't even started yet.
So, oh God. Okay, right. So this is just the beginning, right? So let's see. I think one thing.
Do you ever not wear shorts? Every time I see you, you're always wearing shorts, even when it's cold.
I like to show off these legs, baby. These legs. These legs are great, aren't they?
I can tell you're single.
I'm trying to show off the package, okay? Right?
Good for you. But yeah, sorry, go on. We digress.
We digress. Sorry about that. Okay, so I think one thing actually which is a tell all sign is, and I know it sounds really petty and small, but if your partner is always on his phone, always answering messages, and then you text him or her or whatever it is, I'm sorry, I just
partner, them.
And they take a while to get back to you. That's a bad sign. I think. Because
so when you're with him, next to you, he's always on the phone. And then when you go to your own home, etc., and you message them, and they'll message you. When's too long for you?
So
when's too long a wait for you?
When's too long of a wait? I would say an hour, 2 hours. I mean, if it's the middle of a work day, then, if it's the weekend and it's like,
no wonder
whatever,
we're both single.
And you can see that there's 2 ticks, that kind of thing. And they haven't replied back. And yet when you're with them, you see them responding to people like much more quickly. There's something wrong there. I don't know. For me, it's not even about that. That was an example of where I think respect has began to fall, and your partner has begun to look for ways that he can push that line of respect, because for me, I've been in relationships with narcissists several times in the past, more than once, I think what it is about sort of the other person coming in and trying to cede control, trying to kind of almost emotionally manipulate. He's just taken a puff of my vape, and I think that was way too big of a puff. So when you suck
What did you call me?
When you suck it, you've got to suck it gently, like this.
Yeah. I still don't understand the concept of vaping.
It's not a nice.
It's
we don't
awful.
understand the concept. It's great. It's much better than smoking, which I used to do back in the day.
Do you remember what you were saying before?
Yes, I do. I was talking about respect.
I don't know what that is.
So I feel like for me, it's about looking for those signs of respect where you see those cracks happening in that level of respect. You should address it early on. But I feel like if there's a consistent sort of sustained attempt to sort of not responding, going out and sort of I'm just trying to think like. Not inviting you to things that probably you would typically invite your partner to, for example.
Like what?
Like if there's like a house party or something, and everyone else is bringing their couple, and your partner says, I'm just going to spend some time with my friends. that kind of thing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No. Things like that. Because you should want to spend time with your partner.
I agree.
You should want to be spending time with your partner. And if he or she or they or whatever knows that you're going to be sitting at home, not doing anything, twiddling your thumbs, and you've not been invited, and there's excuses, oh, well, I don't know if they're inviting partners, or something like that, and then you find out, oh, well, the other partners have gone. And then it's like, what is, are you hoping to pick up? Are you hoping to hook up with, you know what I mean? Like all these questions start to float.
Yeah, especially when you wear like...
That's actually an element of control. That is an element of control, and it's almost...
Especially when you wear like ultra tight, like extra small t-shirts when they're mostly... Who are you trying to impress? Why are you leaving your partner at home?
Fall off your chair.
Sorry.
I didn't realize your chair doesn't have...
There you go.
Like the back.
Try again.
Oh, there we
Is
go.
Is that better?
Okay,
Anyway, this is one digression. And then so why are you dressing up? If you don't want to go out with your partner, I get it. You need to have your own time, your own me time with your friends. But who are you trying to impress when you go to those parties that you just mentioned?
Exactly.
Like wearing really attractive clothing. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about like freedom, but then do you want to be with me or not? Yeah. Do you think this is a bit too extreme, or do you think
I don't know.
There's a point in that?
I think it's all right to celebrate, the way that you look, and there's nothing wrong with a bit of light flirting. There's nothing wrong with people looking at you and saying, "Oh, I like those arms, I like those guns, I like those bums."
What's wrong with liking that with your partner next to you?
Yeah. I mean,
why do you go out and then who are you trying to impress?
That's almost like saying, wear a hijab now, and just like cover yourself up when we go out, because
a bit too extreme though, isn't it?
I don't feel like that's necessary.
No, hijab is religious.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a difference.
But there's a purpose behind that though, and the purpose behind that is to cover up, sort of the sexual curves and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just don't. I think there's nothing wrong with celebrating the way that you look, and a partnership should be about equality, and it's not about you controlling or preventing them from. I guess there's boundaries, but
But that's my point.
Yeah.
It's not controlling. It's not insecurity. It's not jealousy. Well, it's about boundaries.
Yeah.
What is again? If you're in an open relationship, which I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
But I think there's a. So I'm just going to say it. You were in an open relationship. There's no secret. You've told everyone.
Not in an open relationship. No, I wouldn't.
You were. You went into an open relationship.
There were boundaries to. Okay, it's not a traditional open relationship. The relationship that I had with him. Right. Oh God, I just dropped my vape. Can you pass it over, please?
Okay, a bit too nervous, are you?
So, yeah, I got nervous there. The open relationship that we had, it was called Different Country, Different Rules, and basically what that meant was, if we were both in the same country at the same time, if there was someone else who was involved with, if we decided to bring someone else in, basically, sorry, if we slept with other people, it was together. So it was like a threesome, that kind of thing.
So now you never did that on your own?
No, if we were in the same country, it had to be together. But if we were in different countries, we were both allowed to kind of shag whoever we wanted, but we had to report back what we did, because there was a health reason behind that. Because if he went and shagged 20 people, which I don't think he'd ever do that. Well, actually, no, he would.
And so would you, Mrs. Saint.
I would not that.
Not in a relationship. Anyway.
No, I was actually pretty good. I actually rarely kind of like, but I always reported it back. I was always very honest and truthful about it. And to be honest with you, I found that when I got into the relationship and I fell in love, that I didn't really desire to sleep with other people. That was a really...
But that's the point. To me, that's the point of... I wouldn't be in an open relationship because I'm too jealous for that.
Okay.
But I also think, like, if you can do it, good for you, more power to you and all that. But I just think there will always be one person. There will always be one person. If you're in a throuple, for example, there will always be one person that feels a bit left out. And then that person is going to suffer in silence.
So my issue with that is that...
You suffered in silence.
Well, listen, my issue with that is that when you get with somebody, right, and you've committed the rest of your life, it's not about keeping that person in prison. Can you imagine, like, okay, this is the last penis you will ever see for the rest of your life, You've just married this person, you are never going to see another penis for the rest of your life.
So what?
I don't feel like
what?
I don't feel like that's realistic. I think if you look at history, everyone has cheated. Everyone, like, it's just ridiculous, the levels of amount of people that actually cheat on their partners. It's probably close to 100%,
Right.
It really is. So to put these unrealistic constraints on a relationship, I think can actually add pressure. So I think what modern society is trying to address, and they're probably not doing it correctly, it's about alleviating that pressure a little bit. It's about saying, This is respect. Respect is the number one core thing that is important in this relationship. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be transparent with you. I'm going to be sure that, I'm going to respect the boundaries. We discuss them. We discuss what the rules are. And we both adhere to them. And then when we do that, we're respecting each other.
But that's what I was going to tell you.
That respect, because cheating is disrespect. Cheating is lying. It's deceitful. But if you've
Betrayal,
discussed those terms, then I think that alleviates that pressure and it allows you to still have an open and transparent and honest relationship where you both respect each other, where you don't feel forced to cheat.
Or if cheating happens, you just said it. Cheating happens all the time. Everyone apparently will cheat, but that's fine. It will happen. We're human beings. I think men cheat more than women. I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
I think times have changed. But I think that used to be the traditional cheating way, apparently.
Well, it was probably.
But I also think that when you cheat, yes, it's bad. It's betrayal, and it ends a lot of relationships, even friendships.
Yeah.
But
yes.
But in friendships and sexual relations, loving relationships, you need to work through if you want to. If you think it's worth it, just work through. Cheating happens, but so does communication. I think communication is key. And if you don't communicate with your partner, with your friends, with your acquaintances, I don't think there's any point. Yeah. And I think open relationships is a result of communication. But cheating happens there as well,
What do you mean open relationships are a result of communication? What do you mean?
Because I think in order to have an open relationship, you need to have a dialogue with your partner.
Yeah.
You can't just be open without the other partner's knowledge.
Yeah.
That's called cheating, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean, yeah. So I guess there is an element of us having like sort of an open relationship, but like there were very strict boundaries. It wasn't like a traditional one where you can just go out and sort of shag anyone that you wanted any time that you wanted. There was very sort of specifics, to it. And
for you.
And unfortunately, those weren't respected, which is why
you broke up.
Why it ended, very sadly. Because I don't think it should have, but there we are. I think you can't have one person in the relationship; you need two people. So there we are.
So where's your mindset now?
Where's my mindset now? I just gulped. Sorry.
That's your mindset.
Interesting question. I am in a position where it's been hard. I've spent the last sort of 6 months, trying to move on, trying to rebuild, and unfortunately, a lot of things haven't rebuilt themselves. I've had. Just
to clarify, you did break up early this year.
I broke up with my ex-partner 6 months ago, exactly. February.
6, 7, yeah.
So it's been kind of like 6 months of I think what it is people often underestimate how traumatizing, a breakup can be for at least one person, if not both, in the relationship in different ways. Maybe I don't really know because I haven't spoken to my ex-partner since the breakup really at length.
Yeah,
I think we've had maybe one or two conversations, but they've not really been that
substantial. No.
But the thing is, I think when you have a breakup, it's almost like grieving for someone who's passed on, or grieving for a life that you were planning on, that you may have spent years or your entire life sort of like looking forward, and you kind of put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all that's taken away from you. So you do have sort of months of sort of grieving and trauma and just depression and anxiety and everything else, and a loss of interest in things that you would have had at one point. And just not really sure what the next stage in your life should be, or what you want it to be, or even wanting to have a next stage, So it's been a real struggle.
But do you know, because how many boyfriends have you had again far?
I've had 3 official ones.
Because I was going to ask you, how...
No, I've had 4 official ones.
4 official ones. Yeah. So how long in between relationships did you stay single for?
You know what? That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's so between boyfriend 1 and boyfriend 2, it was, I want to say, about 6 years. Boyfriend 2 and boyfriend 3 was 4 years.
6 years, 4 years.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay. Yeah.
Why do you think
I take a long time to get over people?
What about the other way around?
And that's the way it should be, probably, because I mean, like, if I was able to sort of like get over somebody within like a week or so, or 2 weeks, or a month, or 2 months, I probably would have had 18 boyfriends, at this point in my life. I'm 40 years old, I probably should have had more boyfriends, or I don't know, should have. It's my personality type, I've had the number of boyfriends that is right for me, right? I've gone at my own pace, and that sort of was worked for me. So the next one, who knows? I have no idea. I am dating again. I have started dating again. I am seeing various different people at different points, just to try and just get to know people. I'm at the getting to know you stage kind of thing. And I've met some really, really lovely, lovely guys. I'm trying to sort of like whittle that down. I'm on quite a few different dating apps. I'm on Hinge, I'm on Tinder, I'm on Grindr. So Grindr isn't really.
What about Scruff? What's wrong with Scruff?
No Scruff, no, because Scruff is
that too scruffy
kinky
for you?
sex. It's kinky sex, and I mean, as much as I like kinky.
Tell
sex,
us where we went last Saturday.
Where did we go last Saturday? Roast. We went to Roast.
Speaking of kink, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was good. That was good fun. That was good fun.
I think that's a good journey, though. I mean, you create your own path. No one else, and who am I, and who are you to criticize my path? If I want to be single for 2 weeks, so be it. Because I know some people cannot be out of relationships.
Darling, you've been single for
but you know what I
long
mean.
ass time.
But you know what I mean. I've been single for 4 years now, I think.
Have you? Oh,
yeah.
Are you looking for a new relationship?
Actually, 4 years, 4-ish. Huh?
How did we meet, by the way?
We met on the Orange Facebook. Actually, no, we met on Tinder.
We met on Tinder.
We met on Tinder.
Yeah, we went on a date, didn't we?
Yeah.
A couple of dates.
Yeah.
There you go, everyone.
We went on a few dates, and that's how I got to know Robbie. And then next week, Robbie went on a second date.
And then he found out how much of a mess I am and invited me to his podcast.
And
it's more productive use of time.
It's been a love story ever since. As friends. As friends.
As friends.
It has.
As friends. And I think it's probably how most of my things are going to end up, at this point, probably friends, because I don't see myself as finding my future husband right now. I mean, I really don't think it's something you can plan for. Listen to me.
I also think it's too early for you. It's too early to tell.
But listen, I really think that it's
You're grieving. You're still grieving.
That you can plan for. My exes, who were both substantial, really good long-term relationships. First one being my ex-fiance, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been engaged before. But this last one, I also proposed to as well last summer.
You're very impulsive. No, not with your ex. I nearly said his name too. But I think you have a very impulsive personality.
Why?
Because actually, I'm probably making this up, but I do think that you jump into situations in general. I'm not going to mention anything. And I think, people take risks in life, and I think they pay off. They're meant to pay off.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you were engaged twice.
No, I wasn't engaged twice. I've been engaged once. And
no, you said your fiancé, and then the last one.
And then
you proposed to.
I proposed to, but he rejected.
Oh, so you're almost engaged. But you would have been engaged.
He
you had your way.
ended up laughing at me, and this is one of the narcissists that I've dated, laughing at me. And actually, we were away. We were at a wedding, and ended up telling quite a few people who attended the wedding about it. And it was just really low, really horrible thing to do.
It is.
Ended up laughing about it, and actually, he ended up thinking it became so second nature. I think he probably told the story 100 times. That he did it in front of a couple of people that we were mutual friends with at the time. Sure. And they were just in shock. And they
Tell me later who they are.
Yeah, I will. They ended up looking at him and saying, you can't do this in front of someone who's just proposed. He's literally proposed to you.
No, you can't.
And this is his heart and his life, and you're sitting here just laughing about it. That's a really serious thing for someone. That's a big step for someone.
That's really bad. How was he laughing though? As in, why was he mocking?
I think it was because in fairness to him, I did it when I was very drunk. I got quite scared to do it when I was sober. We were in a town called Tassis in south of France, and we were at the top of a cliff, and I almost did it. The sun was setting. It was really, really beautiful scenery. I can still picture it vividly to this day.
It's cheesy, but it's so cute. It really is.
No, it would have been lovely. It would have been absolutely. But I got too scared at that point. I even asked him to sit down next to me and kind of I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I get on my knee? What do I do? I'm not sure. Oh my god, I'm scared. We went down to the town, to Cassis, and we actually sat down and started having dinner. And we sat next to this couple that we met. And I just remember that one of them was a wedding planner. And it just felt so natural. I felt like that was the right thing to happen at that time. I really thought that this was the one for me. Honestly, I can't even tell you the level of euphoria and everything else that was flowing through my blood, my veins, just being with this person. But yeah, that whole situation was turned around on me by him, and he actually ended up laughing about it. And
don't you think that was kind of a toxic sign? I'm not saying you should have, would have, could have, but I'm just asking, do you think this is so people know, people learn from it? Do you think people should be wiser?
The result of that,
people listen to you.
The result of that situation was that we had a chat, and then we talked about making it work. And I said to him, if this works, I really there's no going back from it. You know, this is all or nothing. This is all or nothing because I'm now going to be 40 next year. You know, this is not a joke. We've already spent 3 and whatever years, you know, on and off dating, and so at this point, like, you know, this is a serious step. So, like, you know, let's really go at it and give it a try. And it, you know, it didn't work out, unfortunately. Now we don't talk to each other, so I guess it didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. But you said you're 40 years of age, and you're also a smart guy. So if you have let's say...
You think I'm a smart guy? Really? Me?
Fine, just stick... no, I think if you have your next relationship, what are you going to avoid from the beginning? Knowing that what you know so far? Like quickly.
I think it's down to... there was a lot of disrespect, I think, in the last relationship.
Do you have any examples? Apart from obviously the ones you mentioned.
I don't want to slag off anybody on this. This is not why.
However,
examples of disrespect, I think, are, well, you know, laughing about engagement rings, for example. That might be one.
Yeah, that kind of
like, you know, yeah. I think it's about, you know, the true test. I think, you know, I think most relationships are very blissful, very, you know, cordial at the very beginning. In fact, most are, if not all of them. But
in the beginning, yeah,
you know,
you're
at
right.
the beginning, and I think, you know, the true test sort of comes in within a couple of months of being together, and you might have a disagreement.
Or living together.
It's really about how you communicate when disagreements. It's about how effectively are you guys able to...
Not just that. So who was... Okay, I'll ask you this.
Or have a discussion where you have a different opinion. And I think if you can't have a different opinion and you can't, like, sort of be okay with that, then that is definitely a you know, tell-all sign that you need to run for the hills.
Do you know who was the bossiest?
The bossiest?
Out of the two?
Oh, the other one.
Okay. Because I think that's
well, I mean, I say that. He probably would say the same about me, actually.
That's the thing, you know, you don't know the other person's version of it, but from what I've known you so far and from what you've been telling me, I don't think that relationship was meant to work. But who am I to say? I mean, but do you think he was the bossiest? In what way?
I think it would have. Listen, and I don't want this to be a podcast about.
But it's about toxic relationships, and my question is, would you take no for an answer? Because that's very toxic, and that's a sign of toxicity that people don't realize.
I'm actually trying to think about that. I don't know. I am. Yeah.
You're not going to be there by 6, but that's fine.
I think he was very bossy. Oh God, yes. I think he was very bossy. I actually don't think that he would have taken no for an answer. I think it was his way or the highway.
Okay, do you know what? I'm going to edit this out. You can't just be attacking him for no reason. Because this is, I know what you're doing right now.
Yeah, edit it out. By the way, I need to, what does my phone say? I said it.
You got like 3 messages. Or 4 or 5 or 6. Okay. Right, okay, Robbie. So right now you're not in a relationship mood, and so you've been having your fun. You've been going on dates. You've been having
a relationship mood. I would say that I'm going on dates, getting to know people.
Right.
And hopefully there'll be a spark. There'll be something that'll happen.
But what do you want out of this?
You know, I think what I said at the beginning of the podcast, which was, you know, I would like a best friend, an equal, someone who I can spend time with, someone who, you know, understands me, someone who will take me out to dinner, someone who goes to the movies with me, someone who will go traveling with me. Yeah, you're in a relationship, basically. I guess so, but I mean, like, what is a relationship? Like, define it philosophically. I don't know. Like, what is a relationship? Let's get philosophical, because I think if, you know, I've had my traumas. I gave my exes some traumas. I mean, just being real. I'm sure you did, girl. But I think that's unfair, because to the next one, and I don't want that to happen, but reality is it's going to bleed into the other relationships. Your traumas will, not yours personally, but my traumas will bleed into the other person's relationship. And that's why everyone should do therapy. That's what I was going to say. I really believe that there is not a human on earth that should not be in therapy. Therapy is really good. And even if it's just to have a neutral point of view, a neutral listener, just to listen to your issues, like a therapist. Listen to you talk, whether there's issues on or not, whether there's like trauma on or not, whether you've been traumatized or not. It's just good to have sort of an objective point of view, because your friends are always going to say things that you want to hear. You know,
And we never listen to them, do we?
I mean, your true friends probably will like push back on you a little bit, but like generally your friends will take your side, and that's why they're your friends, and your family will do the same. So you essentially create these bubbles of reality because you surround yourself with people that are supportive of your viewpoint, of your experiences, and will stick by you and will stick through, whatever space that you've been through.
I agree.
So it's really important to have a sort of very neutral, a very objective sort of point of view that is able to balance things out a little bit, because that is probably the truest answer that you'll get from someone.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask me your worst.
Just one last question about relationships, because this has been really, really informative. I've really enjoyed it. But
Thank you. Yeah.
When do you know a relationship is over?
When do you know a relationship is over? When you have to ask that question. When you have to ask that question. When you say, does he love me? Does he really care about me? When you start having those doubts.
Do you think that's the beginning of the end?
Sustained. I think that's the end. I think when you get to a point where you're like, is this going to last? Does he love me? Does he actually care about me? When you're asking those questions, you're in some serious deep shit. I mean, like, every relationship is different. There isn't like a Bible verse.
Sure.
Playing on words, going back to my sort of religious beginning.
Yeah.
But there isn't like a Bible verse, in terms of when exactly precisely the relationship is over, because every relationship is different. But I do think that if you're at the point where you're asking those kinds of questions, that you're in some serious
You're telling yourself subconsciously that you need to do something about your relationship.
You're saying, this doesn't feel right. There's something in me that doesn't feel balanced. What do I need to do to fix this? And that's also interesting. Is it really you? Is it the other person? You can't ever control the other person. You can't force someone to love you. You cannot force anyone to love you. You cannot force anyone to want to be with you. So when it's over, it's over. And the best thing to do is to walk away, unfortunately. It really is. I know a lot about relationships with someone who's been through, who's failed at so many.
But that's how you know.
But that's also life.
It's how you get up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the LGBTQ+, and then we'll wrap this. Okay?
Shoot me.
So I'm just going to talk about stereotypes. All right? Let's get a bit controversial.
Ooh, I like a bit of controversy. Go on.
Yeah. Nice. Do you think we, so to speak, we live up to our reputation of being very promiscuous, being very fickle in relationships, and careless in a way? Because what do you think? Because I don't share that opinion, but tell me yours.
That's interesting. And I think there's probably an element of truth in that. There's probably an element of exaggeration or, positioning from, sort of wider society, sort of perspective from wider society, or misperception from wider society that has fed into that as well. I do think that we in the LGBTQ+ community have had a lack of sort of people to, role models, because we haven't had marriage until, globally, until the last couple of decades. Yeah. So it's a very new concept for us. So our world is still sort of coming around to that, and that's a huge societal shift. Whether you like it or not, that has changed the playing field a little bit. Some people have agreed with it, some people don't. Whatever your politics are, it has shifted the way that people perceive relationships, the longevity, what they're trying to get out of it. What the purpose is, etc., and so forth. Is it too heteronormative? Whatever. That's a different debate. What I'm saying is that the effect, the implications that having equal marriage within the LGBTQ+ community has had an impact. It definitely has. And I'm one who's all 100% in support of it. On the other hand, I do think that technology, the advancements that we've had in tech, in dating apps, in all of that has become so ubiquitous, across the board. And it's not just gay relationships, but straight ones as well. People have become a lot more sort of, I think their behavior has changed because things are more disposable. You're able to sort of, have a turnaround more quickly. You have more options. Everyone has more options these days. Whether you live in, Zimbabwe or whether you live in California, you know, you literally have these apps now that make the options that you have out there in the world in terms of dating much more sort of, you know, flexible. And
but it also makes it harder to find the one, right? Because there's more to choose from.
So, okay, let's use this analogy. So think back in, you know, the 1960s when they had black and white TV and you had 5 channels. And there was always something to watch. There was always something. I grew up in the 80s and we had, I think, 8 channels, 10 channels, and we always found something to watch as kids, and we loved it, and we had a great time, and it was wonderful. Today, you have thousands of channels. In fact, you have an infinite amount of channels because you have on-demand TV,
and you spend more time browsing.
You spend more time looking for the right thing, and you're never satisfied. And that's exactly what has happened to relationships as well. We treat everything that way today. We treat everything as though it is disposable. On to the next, on to the next, on to the next. What can be better? What can be better? What can be better?
Cheers to that.
We're obsessed with that today. And that, unfortunately, feeds into everything from food choice to relationship choice.
Yeah.
To choice, to choice, to choice, to choice. Anything that has a choice.
There's more on the menu. There's more a la carte. Yeah.
So it's
like a buffet of opportunities that you
imagine going to a buffet and they've got burgers and fries, yeah? Or you got a buffet and you've got every food in the planet. You'd sit there with every food in the planet, probably a lot longer, thinking about what the hell do I want to eat? I have no idea. And you probably would end up getting a little bit of everything and then moving on to the next because you'd want the next thing, you want the next thing, you want the next thing, you want the next thing.
But when you're in that buffet, let's be...
But if you've got burgers and fries and that's all you've got, you know, you're gonna enjoy that burger a lot more.
Let's go with that metaphor. So while you're in that buffet, you're missing out on the a la carte restaurant next door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're probably looking in the wrong places as well. You as in you and I, anyone.
I think technology is both a curse and a blessing. It's allowed us to do a lot more and advance in a lot more ways. But I think having this much choice, actually, the whole thing about technology is it's not natural. It's not natural. Our evolution has not kept up pace with our developments. And so
I blame ourselves because we created this.
Oh.
We have, not robots. The robots didn't create this.
Well,
we did.
With AI, they're about to start creating.
Yeah, but who created AI? You know,
exactly.
It was a program. Okay, let's end this on a really light note. Okay, so let's talk about the name of my podcast. What's your favorite? What's your favorite food?
My favorite dish.
Food.
My favorite dish.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't talk about my race at the beginning, but I'm a quarter Italian. I'm a quarter African American. I'm a quarter German. I'm a quarter English. I grew up eating Italian food, though, and I'm from New York, of course, you know. So I would say my favorite food on the planet is lasagna.
Which you cooked for your friends, and I was there.
Which I cook, and I think it's a great lasagna.
And you mentioned your grandmother. Why?
Josefina Borisi, but she was Josephine Platt.
Yeah.
She was from Sicily. One of 13 children came over.
Was she in Golden Girls?
I think they immigrated in sort of
that one was from Sicily.
Was she? Oh yeah, the little one. Yeah, I remember you talking about the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Do you have any recommendations in London? Because we live in London. So
in terms of food places?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to the House of Momo tonight, which is a lovely Indian place in Dalston, and I think it is actually some of the best Indian food I've had. It's just a little dinky place there, and I think it is actually incredible.
Is that where we went? We went here today.
We went on Saturday. Yeah, we did.
Love that place.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. What about your favorite drink? It doesn't have to be alcohol.
Margarita.
Apart from this Portuguese wine. Oh, margarita.
Margarita.
Yeah, okay.
Margarita. So every time I go on holiday, my first drink is a margarita.
Have you had a caipirinha yet? That's my favorite. I used to be my favorite.
When I went to Porto, I had a Porto Tinto. Porto Tinto.
Okay.
Which was really good, actually. I loved it.
It's wine, right?
No, it's port with
Yeah, wine. Port wine.
Port, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
port
yeah,
is
yeah.
wine.
Yeah. That's right.
Port with fizzy. What's it called?
Is it kind of similar to sangria and
Tinto
Verano?
It's almost like the Portuguese version of the sangria.
Yeah. I don't think I've had it.
They call it. Do you know why the sangria and Tinto Verano? Do you know why there's two different names for it?
No, I don't. Oh, is it because one of them has spirits in it? No. Like vodka, sangria.
They're actually the same
vodka,
drink,
no?
But it's only a regional difference in terms of.
Oh, it is.
So in the south they call it Tinto de Verano, and in the north they call it sangria.
And in Madrid. in Madrid, which is central. They call it Tinta Verano.
Oh, do they do?
Well.
Oh, they do. All right, okay.
Yeah, at least they did when I was there.
I don't know. I've had too much.
I don't know.
I've now had so many glasses.
Doner
of wine.
Melinda is killing you,
my
and
world is upside down. I may be saying this the wrong way.
Robbie, I really enjoyed having you over. Thank you so much.
I have really loved being here. Thank you so much for having me on.
How was the experience?
It's been great, actually. It's been. This is my my first podcast, actually. So I must say I have found it really fluid and easy and lovely. And you've been a great host. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Everybody, you need to sign up to this podcast because it is it's great. I've
thank you.
gone back and I've listened to them and it's just amazing. So
thank you so much. Let's end that now. On that note, thank you so much, everybody. See you next time.